I really need a car, but I don't have a car.
All right. All right. For Judging Judy. All right.
Hello and welcome to the Judging Judy podcast, the comedy podcast that finally decides if Judge Judy is innocent or guilty. As always, we'll do a play-by-play of an episode from the Judge Judy archives. Today's is from May 6, 2008. But first, I'd like to address my long-running feud with that other podcast, Smartless. Now, I'm writing this before the Golden Globes Awards ceremony, but the episode will air. You'll be listening to this after the ceremony. All the same, I just want to say that I either congratulate or am sorry that Smartless has either won or lost the award for Best Podcast. And in the process, either joined such past Golden Globe winners as Roseanne in Roseanne, or joined such losers as Best in Show, which somehow didn't win Best Comedy in 2001 and lost to Almost Famous, which proves that the whole thing is a sham. Anyway, to help remind us what was going on in the world back when this episode first aired on 5/6/08, I brought in my friend, Professor Wikipedia, doctorate in anamorph psychology. Even though he too was a heartless jerk, the President of the United States, George W. Bush, pleads for the Myanmar government to accept help from the United States and the rest of the international community after a devastating cyclone hit the country. Meanwhile, cynical cuts to aid budgets by the current criminals in charge of the U.S. will result in 1.6 million needless lives lost per year, according to reputable sources. Cher began her second residency at Caesars Palace in Las Vegas, Nevada. The 3-year engagement would see her receive $60 million in return for singing such hits as Believe, Strong Enough, and Half-Breed. If I could turn back time, if I could find a way, I would have warned everyone that the Chris Pratt everyone knew and loved in Parks and Rec would soon morph into something terrible. The opening ceremonies were held for the Sports Museum of America in Lower Manhattan, intended as the home for the Heisman Trophy, as well as its annual ceremony, plus a number of donated pieces of sports history, including Michael Phelps goggles and the ball from Ty Cobb's 3,000th hit. Over $93 million was spent opening the museum. The Sports Museum of America closed after less than 9 months of operation. You can find a bank in the space it once occupied. Thanks for the help, Professor Wikipedia. Now let's check in on the New York Times crossword from May 6, 2008. The clue for 5 across is cat calls, and the answer is meows. Finally, let's see the box office for that day back in 2008. Number 3 was Baby Mama, number 2 was Maid of Honor, M-A-D-E, and number 1 was Iron Man. Maid of Honor, quote, follows a lifelong playboy who falls in love with his best friend only to have her get engaged. Starring Patrick Dempsey, Michelle Monaghan, and Sidney Pollack, the film was panned by critics who variously noted its gibberish title, its irritating soundtrack, its predictability, its lazy script, its unfunny sex jokes, its sluggishness, its pratfalls, its unoriginality, its inanity, its shoddiness, its portrayal of insecure masculinity, its desperation, its lack of believability, its charmlessness, and its defamation of the Scottish. Let's get to the teaser for today's episode.
Edward just got busted. You bailed him out.
If you keep yelling his name like that, I think he'll want to go right back in.
An admitted drug user helps a dealer go free.
Wow, normally that takes a presidential pardon.
She thought I was still going to be able to supply her.
Well, yeah, you don't just bail your dealer out of jail because you're a good person. Okay, let's get to the case. Amy is suing her, quote, former friend for a loan to bail him out of jail. Edward, meanwhile, says he never asked for Amy's help. This brings up an interesting thought experiment. If you just happen to like the food, the regimented lifestyle, the company, can you refuse to be bailed out? Can you waive your right to be bailed out if you think that on the outside, they got HOAs and they got sunlight and they have too much freedom? Is that an option?
Everything's on the table.
Seated.
Is your name Melissa? Stand over there.
Edward's witness has been summoned to her feet before Bailiff Byrd is even done getting his lines out, which is kind of rude. Give the guy his moment. I understand you've got a date with a ribeye at the Pasadena Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, but let the guy tell people to sit down before you barge in telling people to stand up. Melissa, it turns out, is Edward's girlfriend. They've been together for almost 3 years, which, depending on when this episode was filmed and when exactly they got together, but that means they might have been together for at least 2 Happy Honda days and as many as 3 Toyota-thons. In addition to being a witness and a girlfriend, Melissa is also a mother. She and Edward have a 19-month-old daughter. 3 years minus 19 months. It's possible she was conceived during a Volkswagen Sign Then Drive event.
How many times has he been arrested since you've known him?
Twice.
Sure, but of those 2 arrests, how many were for disorderly conduct in a Chuck E. Cheese after he objected to the laughable amount of cheese those crooks put on their extra cheese pizza? It's like extra cheese, hold the extra, hold the cheese.
Then what's the point?
It turns out neither of these arrests were pizza related. They were for possession and running from the cops.
Possession of drugs.
It certainly wasn't possession of a reasonable amount of cheese on his pizza, I can tell you that.
You don't get arrested for running from the cops. That is not a crime.
Oh, really?
Okay, Judy, call it what you want, but people are arrested for running from the cops. People are killed from running from the cops. Melissa shrugs off Judy's objection because, yeah, she was supposed to know the criminal code or something. Anyway, Judy turns her attention to Edward, asking him what he was arrested for, which was probably what she ought to have done at the beginning.
I've got arrested for possession, battery, and
Battery of whom?
battery of my girlfriend and
Which girlfriend?
Melissa. I just actually pushed her, but that's battery.
Yeah, it turns out that along with single A, double A, and triple A, pushing someone is battery. By the way, it's pretty bold of Edward to actually someone on domestic abuse, especially when that someone is a judge. Edward goes on to try to jog his memory, but fails to come up with an additional charge. Judy, a little surprisingly, moves on. I assume that, like an ant that's determined to get into your house, it's only a matter of time. Judy will find out what else Edward did, and while she's at it, she will nibble away at everything in his pantry. Melissa, it turns out, was a friend of the plaintiff's, and so when Edward was arrested, she called Amy for help.
So that must have been for drugs.
That was for a number of things.
That's the thing. Having a successful portfolio is all about diversifying. Whether you're talking about retirement or criminal activity, index funds, stocks, bonds, drugs, make sure you're spread around to spread out your risk. Edward explains that it was for being intoxicated, drugs, and the previously mentioned battery. I imagine Judy will explain that being intoxicated isn't a crime, but if you try hard enough, it certainly can be.
Beer! Beer! Give us a beer!
Melissa confirms that the gist of the call to Amy was to ask for help getting Edward out of jail. Amy, after all, had been a friend of hers for over 20 years.
Ever used drugs with her? I'm asking you a question. Don't think about the answer. Just give me the answer.
Yes.
Of course, Melissa may be evading the question, but she also might have had to comb through 20 years of memories with Amy. 20 years. So that's like, we'll just say 1988 to 1988 to 2008. We'll just use that as the general range. That means they probably watched Ernest Saves Christmas together. They probably watched Ernest Goes to Jail together. Ernest Scared Stupid. Ernest Rides Again. Ernest Goes to School. Slam Dunk Ernest. And, well, hopefully they didn't watch Ernest Goes to Africa. But my point is, she might have forgotten a little casual drug use along with all of the Ernests they watched over the past 20 years.
Frequently?
Not in a while.
Not in how long?
A long time.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
So as far as you knew, she was not using drugs?
At the time?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, she was?
No. Pardon me.
Melissa confirms that that is what she thought. Melissa herself, she says she wasn't on drugs at the time as she was pregnant.
What kind of drugs was Miss Shelley using?
Meth.
You know, it gets worse than meth, but it doesn't get much worse than meth. I mean, I was hoping it was weed. I thought it might be coke. There was a chance it was pills, whippets, or purple drink. But here we are, we wound up at meth. Now, if there's an upside, at least Melissa wasn't using too. At least as of right now, that's the story. I hope it doesn't change.
And where was she getting it from?
Edward.
Now, I'm a notorious optimist, so here's my spin on this. Amy was just keeping her money local, with friends. She could have had some out-of-town, big corporate dealer, but, you know, she took the small business Saturday mantra and made it happen every day by shopping with a dealer she knew on a first-name basis. A dealer who lived in her own community. That's how you build something real and lasting and authentic in these crazy times of ours.
That's one way of looking at it. Yes.
After smugly saying she knows what the case is all about, Judy explains it for us in a way that only leaves me with more questions.
You bailed him out. It's $2,500. $1,000 he gave you back.
Correct.
But you signed for the bail.
Correct.
According to you, he was supposed to pay for the bail, make periodic payments to the bail bondsman.
Yes, ma'am.
He did not.
No, ma'am.
You're stuck with it.
Was $2,500 like the down payment? And then because he didn't pay off the remainder of the total, Amy has to. I mean, I personally haven't had to bail out my dealer in a long time, so I'm a little fuzzy on the details here. Unfortunately, it only gets more confusing as we have a role reversal that even William Shakespeare himself couldn't have conceived of.
Mr. Milan says you wanted him out because you were his supplier of drugs. You were his supplier of drugs. Therefore, it was to your benefit to get him out of jail, and he never promised to pay you back.
But I thought he was, and I thought she was, what is this, 1998's The Parent Trap? Or 1961's The Parent Trap? Or the source material, 1949 novel, Das doppelte Lurchen?
Was ist das?
Amy's laughter through Judy's explanation does nothing to convince me that Judy is wrong, but I can guarantee it will haunt me in my sleep for years to come. Edward says he recently started work with an event management company, doing things like setup for car shows, and previously had done some work in construction.
How long were you a drug dealer?
On and off.
Now, I'm not siding with the professed domestic abuser, but this is a pretty good answer. It's not the kind of job you put on your LinkedIn, and I don't think you get a time card for selling meth. It's a gig job without needing to worry about how many stars an addict will give you. There's a high likelihood of getting killed in the line of duty, so, poor job security. But you sure do meet a lot of interesting people. The benefits aren't great, but you also don't have to worry about an annual performance review or corporate restructuring. Edward eventually says a couple of years, which doesn't satisfy Judy. She actually does want the LinkedIn version, starting year and ending year. She also wants to know if he'd considered himself advanced or proficient at VBA macros, corporate communications, and identifying a narc. In the end, Edward says he stopped dealing the day he was arrested and spent 2 months in jail.
When were you arrested for battery of Melissa?
That day.
Of Melissa?
That day. It all happened all at once.
Edward says that, save for being sent back to prison the day after he was bailed out, since all of this was a probation violation, he hadn't been arrested since.
The probation that I was on originally, which was felony evasion, which is running from the police in my car.
Edward has now mansplained battery and felony evasion, although, to be fair to Edward, Judy did say running from the police wasn't a crime, so I guess his clarification is actually helpful. Edward explains that he was running from the police because he was on drugs, which I get, but I feel like he's kind of leaving out some important details. It's not like being on drugs makes you instantly run from cops. That would be a really interesting superpower.
Just like Batman.
So you were on probation for driving while under the influence of drugs?
No, they didn't give me an under the influence charge, but, I was a user. So basically, I got the felony evasion, and that gave me the felony probation.
Judy has this confused look on her face, like a dog that thinks you threw a ball, but the ball's really behind your back and... Okay, minor aside here, but that's a mean trick. Dogs love us. What right do we have to mess with them like that? That should get you a felony charge of some kind. Call it evading being nice to dogs or something. Felony evading being nice to dogs.
You talk too much.
With Edward's criminal history now as clear as a presidential MRI, we circle back to his dealings with Amy. Edward says he had been selling to Amy for about a year. Amy was one of about 5 customers of his. The only thing he sold her, he says, is meth, and he says he got it from a variety of sources. So, okay, unless we hear otherwise, the whole thing about Amy being his supplier, we can just say that was a misunderstanding, something miscommunicated. No harm, no foul. It makes things a lot easier. Well, I guess there was a little bit of harm, domestic abuse, and I guess there were multiple felonies, actually. But you know what I mean.
And you made a living doing this?
A semi-living, not much.
If you're thinking about giving up judging and the whole TV thing, Judy, I don't think this is the right line of work for you. Maybe, I guess, as a side hustle, but it's not the passive income source all those influencers and YouTubers would have you believe. You've really got to put in the work, put in the time. Sure, it's better than Herbalife, Amway, Rodan and Fields, LuLaRoe, and Arbonne, but anything is better than those. It's setting a pretty low bar, but those guys, that should be illegal. Talk about felonies. Since the arrest, Edward says he's been clean for 2 years, in part because of the sobriety program. Judy says that a key tenet of that sobriety program is about accepting responsibility, a point that Edward agrees.
You were arrested for felony possession on the 24th of April, 2006?
Correct.
Whose fault is that?
Mine.
Whose responsibility is it to clean up after you?
My responsibility to clean up after myself.
It's an interesting pivot point. It could be a time to talk about what it means when you give people a second or a third or a fourth or a fifth chance. And with that chance, the opportunity to define themselves as more than just their criminal histories. Judy might be interested in all of that, but what she really wants to do is see if Edward is backing up his words with actions. She asks him how much of his bail he's paid.
What I paid was nothing. My girlfriend used my money to pay for the bail. She gave the money to Amy.
Judy again asks how much that amounted to. Edward says he thinks it was about $1,000 of his money that Melissa gave to Amy to pay, plus a couple of payments Melissa herself paid after Amy harassed her into doing it. All of this kind of continues to show how ignorant I am of bail laws, but whatever. Anyway.
So far, I hear you not taking responsibility, Edward.
Judy says she hears Melissa taking responsibility, but not him taking responsibility. I'm kind of with Edward when he points out that he was in jail. And if I understand anything, and I don't think I do, at least some of the money was his. He just needed other people to pay it for him. But he does concede he hasn't paid Melissa back for the payment she made. So Judy's right. If the program is about responsibility and accountability, he isn't fully living up to the expectations.
Why? That's your program.
Well, yeah. I actually put a roof over all of our heads.
Enough already!
He's been sober for 2 years. He's been working. I don't think we need to mock the guy's program. I don't think we need to mock his commitment to it. If you want to hold him financially responsible, so be it. I mean, your producers are paying anyway, so whatever. But if he's actually made strides in his personal life, if he's shown personal growth, imperfect as it is, why pick him apart or pick the program apart? We get that you're better than him. Can we let it rest there? With the utmost of maturity and respect in her voice, Judy asks Edward if he was also putting a roof over Amy's head, and of course he wasn't. And I'm still confused. Would you prefer he not be on the program and selling drugs instead? Of course, another thing I'm confused about is the bail bond process, which we return again to.
This again?
Melissa says she made 2 payments totaling $400, with the other $1,000 having already been put up, which I believe was Edward's or Amy's, who knows. That leaves an additional $1,100 unpaid from the $2,500 total. Judy asks Melissa why she hasn't paid the remaining balance.
While Eddie was in jail, I just got a job and I was barely making it, so.
Look, that sucks, but if in 2008 you wanted to go on TV to feel better about yourself, you didn't go on Judge Judy. You went on Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader, where you may have found out that in fact you are not smarter than a 5th grader, but you could at least take solace in knowing you were funnier than Jeff Foxworthy. Seeking to prove that he's more responsible than a 5th grader, Edward volunteers to share why he didn't pay the outstanding balance.
The arrangement was, and I remember this clearly, Amy said, "Don't worry, you guys, I'll help you out. I'll help you pay this." Okay? Helping me pay this for the simple fact that she probably thought, my thinking is, she thought I was still going to be able to supply her.
Potentially true. Maybe even likely true. But it's not really an answer to the question of why you didn't pay the remaining balance. Amy objects to this whole line of discussion, but Judy waves her hand at her to stop her from interrupting, much in the way you might wave your hand in front of a goat at a petting zoo after it's already eaten all the goat feed you bought and it's now eyeing your flannel shirt for dessert. Edward says that he wanted no part in dealing anymore, that he wanted that part of his life to be over. All noble, all fair, all good, and I hope all true. But it doesn't get us any closer to answering the question Judy asked. We come back from a break, and Judy says that given that Edward's been honest with her so far, she sees no reason he isn't being honest about all this.
Are you sure?
And I feel like this is a trap, a rug pull. Call it whatever you want. There's a but at the end of all of this. Judy doesn't just compliment people. She doesn't just say they're good for being honest. Judy's just waiting to drop a butt. Judy's waiting to drop her butt all over Edward and his honesty and the progress he's made since his arrest. Except for now, Judy's turning to Amy.
Did you ever use meth?
I have indeed, yes, Your Honor.
Amy further confirms that the meth she used on 2 occasions came from Edward.
Perfect. I love everybody when they're honest. It makes my life so much easier.
So long as we're being truthful with each other, I too have something to admit. This is the Judging Judy podcast, the only podcast that turns the tables on America's least favorite TV judge. That wasn't easy for me.
You're a hero.
Judy says she's going to help Edward, and what I assume will be the denouement to her earlier slight praise for him. The closing of the trap, the pulling of the rug.
I'm going to help you ensure that what you learned in the program in San Francisco is emblazoned in your memory.
I had some suspicions when we came back from the break and I saw that branding iron next to the judge, but I never thought it would come to this. One by one, quite methodically, Judy asks Edward who was selling the drugs, who was making money from the sale of the drugs, Who knew it was against the law? Who took the risk by selling the drugs? Who got arrested? Who got bailed out? And whose responsibility it is? And one by one, Edward answers that it was him doing the selling and being arrested and so on and so forth.
Then you pay the tab, Edward.
Judy rules in favor of Amy for $1,100, which means our plaintiff did quite nicely. I think she said fewer than 10 words. That's over $110 a word, and most of those words to admit that she used meth. See, kids, honesty pays. For our second case, Noah is suing his ex-girlfriend, Catherine. According to Noah, he was, quote, convinced to lease a car for her, but it was on the condition that she would make the payments. When she didn't, the car was repossessed.
Then, after the car was repossessed, she asked you to rent a car for her, which you did, and she crashed it. And there's a deductible. You also want that from her.
That noise that Judy made at the end there, it's kind of like the noise a baby lamb makes when it learns what lamb chops are made of. I don't think that noise bodes well for Noah. I think, at the very least, that noise implies that she's about to give Noah a hard time, question his decision-making, and imply that he's an idiot. Or it means that Judy just learned what Judy chops are made from.
My father used to go like this. And the word that he used is a R-rated word, which I won't use, but I think the literal translation would be fool.
So her dad would flap his arms like a chicken and say the R word. Was he okay? Is this something he did often? After insulting Noah and ultimately her father as well, Judy asks Noah what he wants from her. He says he wants Catherine to pay what she's responsible for. He says that these weren't gifts. They were loans that they had agreed upon beforehand. Despite what she mimed earlier, Judy provides this commentary about Noah, this time without any flapping of her arms.
But you don't sound like a moron.
The story keeps changing.
She says then that Noah ought to know that the person whose name is on the dotted line is ultimately responsible when a car is repossessed. A point he doesn't dispute. Judy says that her actions must have proven to Noah that she was dishonest, that she couldn't be trusted.
Yes, we were still in a relationship at that time.
Still in a relationship
Yes,
at that
correct.
time. Still intimate at that time. And then there's a little more pillow talk. And she says, I really need a car, but I don't have a car.
Noah tries to correct Judy to say that it was Catherine who suggested they rent the car, which that's actually what Judy said.
Are you even listening to me?
Forgive me.
I didn't say you
I'm
were
sorry.
crying on the pillow. I said she was crying on the pillow.
The way Judy sees it, Noah ought to have recognized her dishonesty and not extended himself again, given what Catherine's actions had cost him previously.
Say, honey, get a bicycle.
Because, of course, nothing goes better post-coitally than a discussion about the relative merits of a fixie. Given that Noah did not make this Huffy-based ultimatum, Judy again asks what Noah wants from her. The judge already told you that you should have told Catherine to buy a bike, Noah. What more do you want? Do you want a foot massage from Judy? Is that why you really came here? Tell me, was this whole thing a charade so you could get Judy Scheinlin to massage your feet?
Well, we had made another agreement that Miss Paquette, she said that she would actually pay for this as well, and she also said that her parents would help her as well.
But again, Judy returns to the leased car. If her parents didn't help with that, why would they help with the rental? Which is all well and good. He's an idiot. We got that. He's the kind of idiot that you flap your wings at. He should have done this, he should have done that. But what about this agreement? So many of these cases hinge upon agreements, oral or otherwise. He shouldn't have trusted her, fine. But she also shouldn't have broken their agreement. Apparently, though, this is something of an ongoing problem for Catherine.
Something I read here in the complaint or the answer, she said, I think, that you knew she had other cars repossessed.
That's correct.
Okay, sure. She should have taken up bike riding a long time ago. She has a history of being a bad person. But each of these times she does something bad, she should be held accountable for them, right? She shouldn't get off scot-free just because she's a frequent abuser of trust.
Keep doing it till you get it right.
Deciding this is a good time to conduct a survey with limited applicability given its staggeringly low sample size, Judy turns to Bailiff Bird.
How many cars have you had repossessed in your life?
None.
So far. Judy points to herself, and now we have an N of 2. Judy herself also has never had a car repossessed. She also extends it to her 5 children, none of whom have ever had a car repossessed. It sounds like Noah's real mistake was dating Catherine. He could have had a polyamorous relationship with Bailiff Bird, Judy, and her 5 kids, and safely leased a car for any one of them, or all of them, depending on their specific kink. maybe he should have leased the roomy 6-row Hyundai Sturgeon. The Hyundai Sturgeon is equipped with the same four 915 horsepower dual chimney engines used in the Abrams tanks that tore down the statues of Saddam in Baghdad. Plus, little cannons on the side view mirror so you can get from and to the mall safely this holiday season. Optional features include heated front and back seats, an in-dash Ninja Margarita mixer, and driver's side IV drip. After saying again that Noah must have been a real fool to sign on the lease for a known ne'er-do-well like Catherine, Judy allows for a little bit of leeway for why he made such a stupid decision. Maybe he was smitten.
Told her that I will not lease this car for her unless we go through her finances, because she was out of work. And the reason why she needed a car was because she needed to work. So we went through her finances. We looked at the situation.
Well, if she's not working, she shouldn't have finances.
In addition to being rude, this, of course, is wildly untrue. She had past bills that we've already talked about. Presumably she had credit cards. Presumably she had a bank account, even if it wasn't in good shape. He didn't say they were looking through her pay stubs. Further, Noah says she was getting unemployment, which forces Judy to, ever so briefly, shut up.
It's a miracle.
Noah shares that the car payment was $330 a month, which was slightly less than the $400 a month Catherine was getting from unemployment.
Where does that leave her money for lipstick? For a mani and a pedi occasionally? Where? It's ridiculous. Mr. Carter, you're ridiculous.
Really? That's ridiculous? It doesn't feel ridiculous to me. It feels inconsistent. Because, normally Judy would yell at Catherine. She would tell Catherine that she should have gotten a job to pay off the lease, as she had said she would in her agreement. Now, I don't disagree that Catherine needed money to live by. Money to eat, maybe. Along with her mani-pedi budget. But that doesn't mean she should get away with making an agreement in bad faith and then not following through with it. Am I missing something? Judy continues to berate Noah about how she couldn't have afforded the payments and about how foolish she was for agreeing to the whole thing to begin with.
Well, I trusted her.
Well, it's not an answer.
I trusted her that she was going to pay for it.
Well, and what's your story, Miss Paquette?
Pardon me, would you have any Grey Poupon?
Catherine confirms that Noah leased the car for her after she had gotten laid off from a job in the mortgage industry.
Making about a 6-figure income.
She says that she supported him for 2 years.
Now you're finally making some sense here because,
Maybe that's what I was missing. Maybe this is the whole thing. She had supported him and then she expected to be supported. Maybe that's the get out of lease free card.
But wait!
2008. Before the subprime mortgage collapse that you presumably helped bring about, and you are only making about 6 figures, Catherine, you weren't trying nearly hard enough. You should have been giving balloon mortgages to everyone you saw, dead, alive, make-believe, dogs, cats, cat dog. No wonder your finances were in such dire straits. Catherine suggests that maybe Noah agreed to this whole thing out of guilt, but she says that Noah said he would pay for the $330 a month and that she would help out if she could.
Were you sleeping together at the time?
Yes, we were.
That's how crazy the car market was before the Great Recession. You could sign a lease even while you were physically engaged in the act of lovemaking, right there in the dealership, and no one batted an eye. Nobody asked any questions, except, of course, would you like any water? You look parched, sparkling or still, in a glass or straight from the bottle. Times were crazy. Catherine also confirms for Judy that she and Noah were living together in a home that Noah had purchased.
So he couldn't have been doing that badly.
Oh yeah, because they didn't just sell houses to anybody back before the entire economy collapsed because they sold houses to anybody.
Well, he couldn't afford the home, and there was some fraud involved with that.
Fraud? In the mortgage industry? I can't imagine. Judy says she doesn't want to get involved in fraud, that she just doesn't want to feel like she's being abused, which is a strange piece of commentary that I suppose we'll have to leave where it is, unless Judy, you need to talk to somebody. If so, you can email in at judgingjudypod@gmail.com. Judy has Noah recite off his previous year's income, and the guy was making about $50,000 a year.
So you're not a high-income wage earner, sir.
Judy, by comparison, was making, according to some estimates, $47 million a year, or about 940 times what Noah was making. And Judy only worked about 52 days a year. So yeah, he wasn't exactly a high wage earner. We also get some of Catherine's annual take home, which of course is also a little less than $47 million a year, even when she was pulling in her near 6 figures.
I have to believe, sir, that you either had a total lobotomy at the time when you rented a car for her after you leased a car that was repossessed, or I have to believe her that you were living together as a couple, and that's what you did. And in your pillow talk, there was not a discussion of paying you back.
Judy says that she has to believe that over the course of their relationship, Catherine made more than him at some points and helped him out, and that the cars that he paid for were a quid pro quo. and so she dismisses the case.
Oh, my poor baby!
Noah provides this takeaway in his parting words.
Love makes you do stupid things.
We've made it to your favorite part of the show, and my favorite part too. It's time for me to judge Judy. I follow a strict, entirely arbitrary set of criteria to determine each week if Judy delivered justice. To the people who came before her in court, to you at home, to me, to the whole world. If she did, she's innocent. If she did not, she's guilty. I came to today's ruling on Judy after much difficult deliberation. It almost could have gone either way. Even though I've made my decision, I still feel like I could be convinced for the other side. First, case one. I side with Judy's decision, especially because Edward didn't actually have to pay. Judy's producers did. We can't truly know why Amy bailed him out, if she expected him to return to selling her drugs. We can't know if they had an agreement that it was a loan. But see, this is what I think is important about the decision and what makes it right. It gives the appearance that you're holding Edward accountable, that you're holding him to his word. And that accountability, it's a good thing. You want to send the message that you have to live to the ideals you say you uphold. You want him to fulfill the tenets at the core of his recovery program. Those are all sound things. I can get on board with that. But why'd you have to belittle the guy's program? Why'd you have to act so snooty towards him and snooty towards Melissa, his girlfriend, for not knowing the intricacies of the criminal code? It felt really petty. As for case two, I've had a change of heart. Throughout much of the case, I thought Judy was giving Catherine too much of a free pass, that the judge was too focused on how stupid Noah was for making an agreement with someone he knew had a history of repossessions. I wanted Judy to hold Catherine personally responsible for the agreement that she made with Noah, just like she holds others personally responsible so often. But the agreement at the core of things here, it was an oral agreement. And an oral agreement is inherently hearsay. So if Judy heard what she heard from Catherine, and she heard what she heard from Noah, and she thought Catherine's story was more believable, I can't really quibble with Judy's opinion. But what I can quibble with is the whole bail talk from case one. I still don't get it. I don't know who paid what, who owed who, why people were making multiple payments. I guess it's on me that I'm not an expert on our intentionally Byzantine bail system, but as the judge, the host of this talk show with a gavel, Judy could have done something to clear up the whole mess. It affected my understanding of the case, and truly, my ability to tell if Judy delivered justice. And for that reason, today, Judy is guilty. That's right, it's time for Hangman. But this isn't the Hangman you played when you were a kid, when you really ought to have been brushing both the fronts and the backs of your teeth. This is Hangman with stakes. Today I'm putting the shuffle button up on the gallows. You remember the shuffle button. It allows you to listen to the newest Now That's What I Call Music CD without having to abide by the order of the tracks as ordained by God. Instead, you get to listen in any old way the shuffle button decides, and you'll continue to listen that way if I win. However, if I lose, the shuffle button is kaput gonzo. You'll listen to track 1, and then track 2, and then track 3 in that order. As always, I'm using hangmanwords.com, and this week I'm returning to their geography words list. As a reminder, I can make 6 incorrect guesses, 6 letters that aren't in the word until I lose. And yeah, I know this would be better on a visual medium. Now today's word, or today's answer, is 2 words. Remember, we're on the geography words list. The first word is 5 letters, and the second word is 6 letters. I'm gonna go bold, go with A. Let's start with the letter A. There are 2 A's, both in the second word, so we have 5 blanks, a space, and then blank A, blank, blank, blank A. Try I. There's no I. I was hoping it was like I-N-A at the end, but no I, so I have 5 more incorrect guesses. Let's try S. There's no S, so I have 4 more incorrect guesses. My hangman has a head and a torso. Let us try P, as in please let there be a P. There's no P. So my hangman is now halfway done, and I only have those 2 A's. Let's try another vowel. Let's go with E. No E. So I only have 2 more incorrect guesses, and I've done almost none of this answer now. All right, let's go N. There is an N. Unfortunately, there's only 1. So it's N, 4 blanks, space, blank A, blank, blank, blank A. I mean, there has to be a U. Just because we don't have any other vowels. So let's go with U. There's no U. Oh, okay. I forgot the O. So there's still a chance for an O. I thought we were really in trouble here, but that O is going to rescue us. Nah, not much. So it's N-O blank 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 space blank A blank O blank A. So I'm hoping the first word is north. It is. Okay. So now I have north space blank A space O-T-A. I don't know if I got that right, but anyway, it's North Dakota. North Dakota. Perfect. I did it. The shuffle button lives another day. I realized while I was doing that, you could still use the skip button, but then you have the arduous. Anyway, the shuffle button lives because of North Dakota, because of me, because of this podcast. The next time you listen to things out of order, thank the Judging Judy podcast. Finally, let's hear an out of context quote from Judge Judy. I think the guys watch because they're just so grateful they don't have me at home. That's it. Thanks for listening. Subscribe, fornicate, share, and like, but whatever you do, don't get your car repossessed again.